So what I want to do now is just briefly give you a save the date for next year and to talk about what we plan to do and to solicit suggestions from you. We already have a date and a location for next year's event. The theme is going to be Emerging Frontiers in Fetal Diagnosis, Windows on the Fetal Brain. And we have not selected any particular topics within that framework, but essentially any advanced or developing emerging technology that allows us to interrogate the fetal brain. I'm open to finding people to talk about that. So if you have ideas, let me know. This is, of course, critically important because the fetus spends its time in darkness, and we can get pretty MRI pictures that are snapshots. We can get ultrasound, quantitative, that are snapshots in time. There's a few physiological measures that we can use that are somewhat more dynamic, but the fetus is currently largely in darkness when we try and interrogate it. So I think this will be a very exciting meeting, and I look forward to any suggestions you might have. On the, can you advance that one? I don't have the clicker here. So recently, a 12-acre piece of land at the old Walter Reed site was transferred to Children's National, and it's been assigned to become our research and innovation campus. As part of that, we have struck a partnership with JLabs, Johnson & Johnson JLabs, and this will occupy a 32,000 square foot area where clinicians and technical folks, pharma folks, will get together and advance the field. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity that fetal neurodiagnostics will be part of that portfolio. Is Michelle around? Oh, there you are. I'm just going to hand over to Michelle McMurray-Heath, who's going to talk a little bit about the JLabs project, and I'll be back.
Hello. Given the late hour, I'm going to try to fly through the few slides that I have. And if you could just put up my slide 20, just go to the very middle and go to the... Thank you. My name is Michelle McMurray-Heath. I'm a pediatrician by training. I work for Johnson & Johnson. I've spent the last 4 years... That's not my slide. Leading the regulatory team for the medical device companies of Johnson & Johnson. We're a conglomeration of almost 250 operating companies that span the range from deep pharmaceutical technology to medical devices to consumer products. It's none of those, actually. I think it was going to be on the desktop, but it's none of those. Don't worry about it. You can just put up the slide that was there before. Because I'm basically here just to tell you about this exciting collaboration that's just recently been unveiled between Children's National and Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson has a global external innovation team that scans the globe for young entrepreneurs that are really at the cutting edge of medical technology, and we work with them to help bring their solutions to patients. Our JLabs is a network of now 13 incubators around the globe that are set up to really house these entrepreneurs and stimulate them. We do a couple of things. First of all, it's important to know it's a no-strings-attached model, meaning the entrepreneurs that come and incubate within our JLabs from anywhere from 2 years to 3 or 4 years are not committed to working with Johnson & Johnson or being part of the J&J family after that. But what we do provide them is mentorship. We provide access to venture capital and other sources of resources for them. We give them large company advantages in terms of being able to purchase their lab equipment and purchase their supplies and work in a very economical manner. And then we support their development. And one of the things we found with the 600 companies that have gone through JLabs in the last 7 years is that unlike the failure rate that you see on most life science startup companies, 88% of our companies are still in business to this day and or have been acquired. Many of them are acquired by our competitor companies. But what we do see is we see a great amount of value being driven. They've generated over $16 billion in external and internal investment in their research going forward, and they are getting solutions to patients. So there we go. Great. So you can see here some of the companies that have either partnered with or acquired some of the JLabs entrepreneurs graduates. And we are so excited to be announcing, and you can do the next slide, that we're coming to Washington, D.C. in partnership with Children's National, as mentioned earlier, at the site at Walter Reed. You could go to the next slide. So the exciting thing for this group to think about, and I know a lot of the exciting talks today have focused on prevention and understanding the social determinants of fetal and child health, but we still often need diagnostic technologies, we often need pharmaceutical interventions, and we need imaging technology to really help bring a lot of your great breakthroughs to make a difference to patients. And the kind of space that we're opening up in conjunction with Children's will provide entrepreneurs in the DC region that type of opportunity to advance those technologies. It's not just a partnership with Children's. We've also announced a partnership with BARDA, and so there's going to be a small sub-emphasis on public health preparedness. And just this last week, Children's unveiled that Virginia Tech is also going to be part of this Children's Innovation Campus. So it's really exciting, as someone who's lived in D.C. for 20 years now, to think about D.C. becoming this biotechnology innovation district and really promoting not just the great academic research that we have in the region and the great government-sponsored research that we have in the region, but real solutions for patients. And you can just go forward. So this is a little bit about the space. We'll have room for 50 companies. As the introductory remarks mentioned, we'll have 32,000 square feet, and we're aiming on opening at the end of 2020. And you can go to the next slide. And the next. Great. So just wanted to let you guys know that we're going to be having a series of quick-fire challenges over the next year and as we gear up to the opening of JLabs. And those quick-fire challenges are great opportunities for scientists with cutting-edge thoughts and ideas to perhaps get residency in JLabs and get support for their research. The three first ones that we've unveiled are for pediatric surgery, pediatric oncology, and influenza. We've wrapped up one on reinventing the respiratory mask, but there will be more quick-fire challenges to come, so keep an eye peeled. And as you have young postdocs and other students that are thinking about going out and starting their own companies, encourage them to apply for the quick-fire challenges because it's an easy way for them to get really high visibility, great mentorship, and some financial support for their work going forward. And with that, I will thank you because I know it's a very late hour.